Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews is your home for happy hour. Twice a day, 3 to 6 and 9 to close, Sunday through Friday, 9 to close on Saturdays. And while you're here, you can load up on loaded tots, cauliflower wings, chips with jalapeno cream corn, or the cheesy jalapeno corn fritters. So many more new flavors to kick back and enjoy while watching the game or relaxing with friends. Whatever new flavor you choose, we'll see you at Sicky's.
Motorhead, torque jockey, road dog, mutter, big rigger, wrencher, automotive aficionado. Sound like you? Then let's chat. See, at Radco, we love trucks too. We're fortunate enough to work in, on, and around trucks every day, and we're looking for folks just like you who would love to do the same. Radco has full-time positions with great benefits available right here in Fargo. Stop on in or call, and let's talk trucks. Heck, maybe we can make a career out of it. Radco, now hiring for all positions.
Truck Headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
Good news for Steeler fans. Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett is off concussion protocol, and he is in line to play on Sunday. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is fairly confident about getting left tackle Teron Armstead back for Tua's return on Sunday against those Steelers. Jets head coach Robert Saleh announcing wide receiver Elijah Moore will not take part in Sunday's game. Saleh said the team has no interest in honoring Moore's trade demands. The Toronto Blue Jays extending manager John Schneider through 2025 with that team option added for the 2026 campaign. The PGA Tour has filed a federal civil lawsuit against the Saudi financiers of Live Golf. The PGA is hoping to convince a judge to remove the leader of the Saudi Golf's fund and to force Live to hand over documents to tour attorneys. And former world number 1 tennis player Simona Halep failed a drug test. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
Insiders.
Bison great Kyle Emanuel and the voice of the Bison, Rob Hipp.
Hey, I know this, cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got nothing to do. It's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got nothing to do. It's Friday, hey, I know this.
Hey, I know this. It's Friday here on the Insiders. Welcome in, Rob Hipp, Kyle Emanuel, Micah Bendy. If you know what movie that I asked you guys what movie that I cut that up yesterday, just having a little bit of fun, and I asked you guys what movie have you ever seen Friday? Now Kyle Emanuel saw it, parts of it. Micah, you've never seen Friday? That's one of the greatest, man, back in the mid-'90s.
Yeah, I was going to ask what year that's from. I've seen some old movies. Like, I'm a fan of, like, the Rocky movies, the Rambo movies, so I'm a fan of some older classics, but haven't seen that one.
Friday after next Friday. It's one of those movies, though. It's not a family movie. You don't, get your 11-month-old baby Braylon and put her on the couch and watch it with the baby.
Is it a scary movie?
No.
No, it's a comedy.
It's comedy.
Oh, okay.
Hilarious
comedy.
Hilarious comedy. Ice Cube's in it. Chris Tucker, Tommy Lester, John Witherspoon. I mean, it's great, man. If you're into that kind of comedy.
Got fired on your day off. How you get fired on your day off, right? That's from that movie, right?
Yeah, I had to cut that clip up a lot, though, to make it radio presentable. But it was all right.
That was good. That was great. It's a great way to kick off the show, Rob. Well done.
Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into the Insiders. We're going to have fun today. I'm starting something new, and maybe it'll only last a week, but I'm going to call it Free Flow Friday. Say that like 5 times in a row, and it's a tongue twister, but Free Flow Friday. And what it is maybe today you've got something on your mind. Somebody told me in the radio business, don't ever have an open phone line. That's not a good thing to have. Well, I think once a week it is a good thing to have. There's a lot of people out there that says, I've got things on my mind that I've been wanting to talk about. Maybe you got something you want to get off your chest. It doesn't even have to be sports related. Try to keep it sports related because we're a sports show. But maybe there's something out there today that you said, I just want to share this, or I need to get it off my chest. You can call us on the Epic Companies hotline here on a Free Flow Friday at 701-476-1660. Maybe this is the last day. Maybe you've been listening all week and you've been wanting to say something about that SDSU game. Today's your day. Call us. Let us know what's going on, and we'd love to chat with you. Kyle, what's going on, man? It's Friday. 4 shows down. Last one for you in the house, man.
Yeah, I'll start off the Free Flow Friday. I got something I got to get off my chest, and it's a good thing. And I got to give a shout-out to my high school team, the Shanley Deacons. Last night we played on a Thursday. A lot of high school teams played on a Thursday in the last week of the season. We got it done. Beat the rival, St. Mary's, down in Bismarck, at home. Hung 42. Not for the game, the first quarter.
Wow.
42 in the first quarter. That's right. Got it done. Came out hot senior night. Played well. Defense, offense, everything was rolling. Everything was clicking. Avenged a loss from last year. And, yeah, I know there's a lot of people listening that probably are interested in high school sports, especially high school football, who's coming down. Now, I think there's a couple games here tonight, and then we're into the playoffs, baby. Shanley finished 7-2. Probably have a home game. We will have a home game for the first round of the playoffs. Not sure who it's going to be yet, but I had to give a shout-out to my high school team. I was proud of them, everything they accomplished last night. I think Cheyenne played last night. They locked up the number 1 seed in AA, 11 AA. So coming down the stretch now, high school football, it's rolling.
It's cool, and I'm glad you brought that up because as the season – I was about to say as the season goes on, well, the season's starting to come to an end. Now it's playoff time. Of course, down in the Lone Star State, high school football is huge. How big is it here in North Dakota, man?
Yeah, I think it's big. I think obviously you can tell just from the fan base of North Dakota State, of even UND. It's just football's big here. Obviously, hockey. This is a little bit of a hockey state as well. I think which is a little bit different than you get into some of those southern states, but football's big here, man. And I think the product is really good on the field. I think you've seen it come along, and I can only compare it to what I can compare to is what I played in high school football, and it was very simple. I think defensively we had like 2 calls when I was playing high school. I don't remember having like a gap or an assignment or like, hey, we're playing a zone coverage here, we're playing a man. Like we do that all. Now we put a lot on the plates of these kids, and I know it's not just us. I think you look around the entire state, and everyone's got good schemes, good players, put you in predicaments. So I think high school football's come a long way here in North Dakota.
I was down at the Y last night. I'm kind of intimidated. I walk by, and there's tough guys and regular guys, not so regular guys that are working out. I kind of fit in that not so regular to regular guy category right now. If you haven't worked out in a long time, you're not at that elite level. Even if you've worked out for a long time, chances are you're probably not at that elite level. But I'm walking by, and they do this on purpose. They put all the treadmills and the bikes like in the very back. So if you're that guy that gets on the treadmill or the bike, you have to walk by all the tough guys. You got to walk by everybody lifting the heavy weights. You have to walk through that whole area, and then here I am, and I go to the bike. And I just look around, and I kind of shake my head. I was like, man, I just had to walk through all these guys lifting heavy weights to get to the bike. But I did that last night, looking up at the TV. ESPN2's on, and it's showing a high school football game from Texas, Denton Guyer, and Allen. And two powerhouse schools there in the Lone Star State where I'm from. So it's cool to see the recognition at the high school level, and you've been coaching it. You're enjoying it, man. What's that journey been like for you, Kyle?
Again, it just comes back to me wanting to be around the game of football, and I mentioned that with my role with WDAY and covering NDSU and getting to call the game on Saturday. It's kind of the same thing, just kind of feeling a part of a team again. When you're done playing and you kind of miss that, and obviously it's different as a coach than it was as a player, but still just being around and trying to help kids with things that I wish I would have known when I was playing in high school. And for me, it's big on technique. I coach defensive ends, and everyone thinks, oh, you're in D-line, that's simple, right? You just hit the guy in front of you. Well, there's so much more that goes into it, and talking about the schemes, and now you get teams that are running the zone read and they got the triple option, and what's your assignment on this play? What do we want to do when teams start to roll out on us when they're a heavy run team? It's just there's so much to it, and so it's been fun for me to just be a part of that, just be a little part of some of these kids' journeys and trying to help them out.
I'm interested, Micah. Did you play any sports in high school? What was your go-to gig, man?
I was basketball and baseball. That was my two things. I was point guard, shooting guard. A little here, a little there.
What would you grade yourself, like on a A to? Let's don't go F because we want to be positive on a Friday. On an A to a D, what would you grade yourself?
I would put myself as a B- player.
Okay.
I could shoot a little bit, but I was more like get in the lane and dish it off to someone else, find the open guy, make life easy for others. That was kind of my style of play.
Were you like Russell Westbrook?
No, I didn't have the athleticism to do that, but I was getting the lane, either make a play for myself where I could put up a floater, something like that, or dish off to a big or a 3 guy.
That was me. That was me too. I played basketball, and I could shoot it okay. I just didn't like it. I hated missing. I know that sounds weird, but I couldn't stand not seeing the ball going to the hoop. So I was like, I'm going to give myself the best chance. I'm going to beat these guys off the dribble, get in the lane, and then if you could draw attention to yourself, just drop it off. Like you said, drop it off to a big guy, kick it out for a 3. That was my game.
Speaking of Westbrook, great performance last night there by the Lakers in that.
I think
loss.
we pronounced his name wrong.
Russell Wilson?
Westbrook.
Oh, Westbrook. I
think we can pronounce it Westbrook after what was his performance, Rob?
0 for 11.
0 for 11 shooting last
Westbrook,
night.
yeah. Gotcha.
Lost last night, 103-97. Lakers now 0-2. And now maybe, after the 0-1 start, maybe now you've lost 2. So now can you start saying, oh, they're in trouble? I don't know. They played the Clippers.
They play the Clippers and the Warriors. I think you gotta pump the brakes a little bit. But I think
they could be a playoff team.
But they're going to be a play-in game probably. There's definitely some cause for some concern there. I think LeBron said it in his post-game conference. We are what we are, and I think that's him saying we can't shoot, but we can play defense. And I guess
LeBron.
We'll see how far that carries you.
LeBron's just being real, but I'm sitting there thinking, like, is there anything? You know how I am, man. I try to be positive and pull the good out of any situation. Is there anything that you can pull away and say, okay, well, yeah, we struggled here, but this looks good this year? Because, man, is it going to be every game LeBron in a post-game talking just negative, like, oh, well, this happened, and we're not going to be good here, and we don't have shooters, we don't have lasers on this team? I'm sitting there wondering, after you go 10 games in, what if you start 0-10? Then you're in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I think there's, like I said, I think there's definitely cause for concern. It is just 2 games, but I think he's going to have to answer that question all season long. Maybe not every single game, but every game they lose, do you need more shooters? Do you need this? Should we move on from Westbrook? It's going to be a question a lot. And we were talking before the show started, like Russell Westbrook, he's a guy that his game is predicated on his athleticism and getting to the hoop and doing things off the dribble. He's a guy that needs the ball in his hand to be effective. He's not an off-the-ball shooter. And that's kind of not what you need when you have a guy like LeBron who also needs it. Well, LeBron is talented enough where he could do a little bit of everything, but obviously he's going to demand the ball as well. So now you have Westbrook kind of playing this role that he's not really suited for. And that's what everyone's talking about. It's like you can blame him, but this isn't really his fault because this is not his type of game. And that's what the Lakers are kind of running into right now.
So let me have this take real quick because, and I know we're going way off subject here. We're talking basketball, which is okay. I mean, it's NBA. I want to keep it tied into what's going on around NDSU. But this is a good point though, and we're gonna stay on this tangent for a minute. Heard this morning, LeBron, the chatter around him was, he's really not that guy that needs to be the one to carry the team anymore, and I kind of disagree with that. I mean, he's in the league now 19, 20 years, going on 20 soon, and I'm sitting there thinking, I go back to my days watching the Spurs growing up, and you see a guy like Tim Duncan, and you talk about a player that was just so good for so long. I think when you've got a name and you're that star and you've been there for so long, it doesn't matter if your game is slightly let up a little bit. I think you're always going to be that guy on the team. Think about Tom Brady, and even some of the struggles that he may have had, he's still that guy on the team. I think that if you're that veteran, you are still the guy that carries the team, right?
For sure, he's going to be that guy. I think LeBron's always going to be that guy as long as he's playing until he just completely kind of falls apart. And I think he's still far from it, which is crazy to say going into year 20 that he can still be that guy. But I think at times he does kind of want to be more of that distributor. He doesn't want to be the guy that has to score 30 or 40 every single night. He wants to be a guy that can distribute the ball because he is a phenomenal passer. He really is. But that goes back to what we were talking about. Just you don't have the shooters. If you don't have the personnel to be that kind of guy, well, you might have to be the guy that's playing 35 minutes a game or more to try and carry your team, and that's kind of what I think the Lakers are going to have to be.
Well, when I think of that phrase, that guy, it doesn't necessarily mean you're the dominant player on the court. It's what you do off the court as well. It's what you do in the locker room. It's how you lift these guys up. And so I don't think you can take a younger guy and say, okay, well, this new guy, yeah, he may be that scoring leader on the team, or he may be the one that kind of carries the team as far as the offense goes. But as far as a person who leads the team, it's your veteran. It's the guy that's been there for a long time. It doesn't matter. You could be in the league 25 years, which would be a long time. There's guys that have gotten close or probably have done it. I'm thinking right now, going back to the days of the Spurs, and a guy named Kevin Willis who was around for a long time. But you think about, it doesn't matter. You could be out of your prime, but you're still that guy. You're still the guy that everybody looks up to and that leads the team. So
there's an emotional leader, and then there's the on-court leader, and I don't think LeBron is the on-court leader, or maybe he can't be as strong of an on-court leader, but he's still really, really good at basketball. Let's not get that. Let's not get that wrong. But he's still definitely the locker room leader. He's the glue guy that brings everybody together. And I think when people say he's not the guy to carry the team anymore, that's what they mean. He's not the guy to carry him on the court, but in the locker room and keeping everybody together. He's still that guy.
And he needs to be that guy. So, speaking of that guy, we'll talk about this show. Kyle Emanuel's in the studio, been here all week. Appreciate you sitting in. We'll talk a little bit later about what happened overnight. We've been doing that segment here this week as well. Ryan Humphries, good friend of mine, will join us. He is with Walk On Radio. It's an FCS podcast, a young man that I know very well, so excited to have Ryan on a little bit later. Also, Free Flow Friday continues. If you want to call, you got something on your mind, you want to get it off your chest, maybe you want to text in as well, do it. Send it to us, 701-476-1660 on the Epic Companies hotline. You can also email us, studio@bison1660 on the Rick Electric inbox. We'll also talk about maybe NFL trade deadline update. Where's Odell Beckham Jr. headed? There's been some speculation there. We also, Christian McCaffrey. There's some big news that came out overnight about that. Maybe we'll get to the poll of the day. We've teased it all weekend. We haven't gotten to it just because it's been nuts. And then we'll try to touch base with some other things happening around NDSU. It's been a fun one so far to get started. For now, though, we'll step aside. I want to remind you the Insider's brought to you by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed online at proseed.net. We'll talk about what happened overnight when we come back on the Insiders.
Champions play here. Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think Proseed. Proseed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Bourbon lovers are a distinctive group, embracing the differences from other spirits, all while expecting the rich variation of a good whiskey. That's why the Fistful of Bourbon folks, who have over 100 years of whiskey blending experience, are born to serve to those lovers of good bourbon, creating the masterpiece of blending 5 distinct bourbon whiskeys, sweet, balanced, and floral, with notes of cinnamon and licorice and buttery toffee. Fistful of Bourbon delivers a smooth, rich, full-fisted flavor like all top-shelf bourbon whiskeys should. See it all at fistfulofbourbon.com. Please consume Fistful of Bourbon responsibly.
Corwin Toyota's lot is overflowing with used vehicles, and it's time to clear them out. Find the biggest selection of used cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans. All makes, all models, all priced to sell. Shop their huge selection of certified pre-owned Toyotas. It's the next best thing to new. Certified pre-owned vehicles come with an exceptional coverage policy. Each unit undergoes a 160-point inspection to ensure only the best receive the certified seal of approval. Shop Corwin Toyota today. CorwinToyota.com.
I'm Emily. I had my LASIK surgery here at Vance Thompson Vision. Being in the healthcare field, the highest technology is huge for patients. For me, that was the leading choice and why I chose to go with Vance Thompson Vision. Life without glasses in the operating room has been incredible for me. There's no more fogging. There's no more having issues with my glasses sliding down on my face. It's been great for me.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
Brooks in motion, right to left, fake the fly sweep, hand off the C-Sport, up the middle, touchdown! Easton Stick!
Bison great and Chargers quarterback Easton Stick joins the Insiders each week to discuss his journey in the NFL and reminisce on some of his favorite moments in a Bison uniform. Our conversations with Easton are brought to you by Red River Commodities, The Spirit Shop, and Men's Hair Company. Each week, Easton Stick on the Insiders here on Bison 1660.
When it comes to your electrical needs, you only need one call, and that's to JDP Electric. Whether it's a small residential project or a larger commercial job, JDP's team of professionals will work with you closely to make the process easy. Their dedicated team of professionals can assist with any size project or idea you may have, and even provide a few ideas they see that fit your budget as well. Call 232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference, or online at jdpelectric.net.
If you need any professional advice, they may not be your guys.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But if you need information on NDSU, then they got you covered. It's the Insiders on Bison 1660.
Back at it live from the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Theraldson Ethanol, one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities. This 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant located just west of Castleton. You can fuel your future by joining the growing team. View open positions at TheraldsonEthanol.com. Rob Hipp almost said Micah Bendy next. I'll go ahead and say Micah Bendy is the second name, and Kyle Emanuel joining us here on the Insiders. I had to lift you up a little bit, Micah. You know, we were kind of teasing this week and saying former, Bison great. And then we were saying Bison average, and then we kind of took it up a notch. I had to give you a little bit of a prop there.
I'm only Bison slightly above average. That's what my academics would say, and I didn't really partake in any athletics besides, I played some ultimate frisbee a little bit, part of the club team at NDSU. That was fun, but nothing like the success that Mr. Emanuel has had over there.
Yeah, and he's costing me big bucks sitting next to me this week, but we'll get through it, man. I've had to forego baby diapers this week, so we've taken plastic sacks from the grocery store at Hornbacher's, and we have used the handles as kind of the pull-ups, and we've cut little holes in the plastic sacks and paper towels in the bottom. Those are the diapers.
I appreciate that sacrifice. I don't know why. I don't know where that money's going because it ain't coming to me, but. Hey, whatever you got to do.
Just kidding. We still have diapers. I don't want anybody calling being like, this guy's not taking care of his kid. We have diapers, so we're all good. Hey, I don't know how we got on that tangent, but let's talk a little bit about what happened overnight. One of the big things that happened, and it wasn't really overnight, but it was yesterday, but we're going to bring it up because we didn't bring it up on the show yesterday. But talking about this, the NFL trade deadline coming up soon on November the 1st, I think at 3 p.m. Eastern time. There's already been some moves. I think one of the biggest one is the San Francisco 49ers acquiring star running back Christian McCaffrey from the Panthers. That happening late yesterday, a move that really tilts the power balance in the NFC. The NFC hasn't been too powerful this year. You take a guy like McCaffrey and, what's going on at Carolina? Matt Rule's out. It's kind of like they're unloading the ship over there now, and everybody's just kind of eating the leftovers. But this is a good leftover. It's not a bad leftover. Just your thoughts on that. I think it's going to be huge for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think they're kind of taking the approach of let's win now. I think a lot of people are saying that they like this team with Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe now. I think Trey Lance gives them a better chance for the future, but for right now they're kind of going all in. And like you said, Rob, I think the NFC is a little bit up for grabs. The Eagles are at the top, and then you could probably say the Vikings are next. But those are two teams that haven't won a lot recently as far as Super Bowls. I know the Eagles won back in 2017, but I think the NFC is up for grabs. The Bucs are down a little bit, and the 49ers are going for it. And now you add another kind of Swiss Army knife alongside Deebo Samuel. I think this offense is going to be scary. And now the question is going to be, are the 49ers the favorite to win the NFC? And I think it's a legitimate question to ask. We'll see how everything plays out. But, the 49ers did have to give up. Me and Micah were kind of arguing about this before the show. They give up a second, third, fourth rounder for this upcoming draft, and then a fifth rounder in 2024. I know that those are later round picks, obviously not the second and the third, but I don't know. Obviously we'll have to see how it plays out, but I think that is giving up a lot. And I know it's just picks, so you don't know what the names are going to be attached to those picks yet, but that's where you kind of get the heartbeat of your team, the meat of your team right there. Is you get some depth at the linebacker position or offensive lineman, maybe not the most glorious positions, but you're going to get guys that can play special teams, that can do all this, and you're giving up. I think you're giving up a lot for the potential, though. I can understand it. I think they're, like I said, they're going for a Super Bowl, and it creates a really scary offense, and especially Christian McCaffrey as a runner, but it's more so as a pass catcher. I think he's elite in his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, probably just as good, if not better, than any other back in the league.
You talk about a guy that's only played, 10 combined games in the last two seasons, and McCaffrey.
That was the other thing I didn't get to. Yeah, he's injured a lot. So you're kind of taking a risk giving up all those picks for a guy who, as you said, Rob, hasn't been on the field a ton.
And you got to think, okay, if everything works out, this is great for us, but if not, what happens? And you think about Jimmy G and how he's been playing. Trey Lance is going to come back. I don't think Jimmy G is going to be the guy, obviously, but he is now. He's the guy playing, but Lance is going to come back, and how can that complement what Trey's going to be able to do? Micah, you keep up with a lot of this. I mean, you're on fantasy football. You know what all these guys are up to. I mean, what are your thoughts on this move?
There's a lot of different angles to take it. The one with Trey Lance is like, well, we don't know if Trey Lance will be back next year for sure, because, well, what if the Niners win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Then that we have a little bit of a sticky situation. But sticking on the Christian McCaffrey,
don't put that on the board, by the way. That's not going to happen.
On the Christian McCaffrey side, I like the move for the Niners because they have a really good defense, one of the best defenses in the league, and they don't want to waste it. All this offense has to be is competent. Competent. Score maybe 17, 20 points a game, maybe 24. And your defense can hold other teams, even great offenses, to under 24, you can win a lot of games in the league that way. And the more dynamic that the Niners can be on offense, more weapons that they can give Jimmy G, it's like, Jimmy, you don't have an excuse anymore. Look who you have. You have Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and you have backs behind McCaffrey in case he gets dinged up, and you have backs behind him in case, like, you just want to give him a breather. I love the move. I'm not so twisted up about the 4th and 5th round picks. How often do those actually hit and make like big impact players? I don't know the stats on that, but it doesn't feel like it's that much.
Hey, you're talking to a former 5th round pick, man.
Maybe that's is that why you're salty about it?
No. I'm not. I would say, maybe I could see the 2nd and 3rd only, and then maybe you keep the 4th and 5th, or you go 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and keep the 2nd. Again, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. This is a pricey running back, too, an injury-prone, pricey running back that they are acquiring. So
he's not a big cap hit this year, so that's why it's really good for them. Right. He's less than $1 million this year.
Yeah, and not having to give up a first-round draft pick to get him. So that is one positive takeaway. We'll keep our eye on that. Maybe that's the poll today. Will the Niners benefit in the long run from this move, or will it not do anything for them? Maybe that could be our poll today. We will try to get that poll up, I promise. We've not gotten it up this week. We're going to try to get it up today afternoon. Maybe that's just a little Easter egg there that we've been teasing all week, so we'll try to get it up. Hey, so all of this information, kind of, you think about Thursday Night Football. A little bit better last night. You had 2-4 teams going at each other. But I will say this, a little bit better. A little bit better on Thursday night. So far, it hasn't been spectacular. But the Cardinals, victorious, 42-34. Andy Dalton in this ball game for the Saints, 30 of 47, 361 yards, 4 touchdowns. You would say, if you didn't watch the game, you'd say, wow, how did they lose the game? Well, he threw 3 picks. One of them batted up, and then 2 pick sixes. It was a tough night for Dalton. It seems like he sometimes gets out to a fast start, and then you know that wall is coming for him, and it came. 2 pick sixes. It's been a while since we've seen that in a game.
Yeah, the first Thursday night that I didn't really get to watch. Normally we have get some guys together, we cook dinner, we watch Thursday night football, and it's just miserable. Now, and as a defensive guy, like I don't want to say that because a lot of times I'm fine with a good defensive battle, but especially you go back to that Russell Wilson game on Thursday night against the Colts, like that was just bad quarterback play. And it wasn't just him, it was Matt Ryan too. And so finally they start to put up some points. Cardinals scored 25 in the second quarter. The Saints did storm back a little bit, put up 17 in the fourth. But if you wanted points on Thursday night, you finally got it last night. And Micah, I know you have to be excited. The over also hit, and not even close.
Wasn't even close. The over was at 44.5 is what I had my 12-leg parlay at. So that's one of the 12. So we're going to be looking at the rest of the 11 over the weekend. Keep me in your thoughts, and hopefully it hits.
It might, man, with the way things are going. So, yeah, you had those 2-2-4 teams battling it out. Arizona now just a game below 500, 3-4, and the Saints at 2-5. Also last night, got to bring this up. I know we're talking a lot of national. It is the bye week. Not a whole lot going on this weekend. Otherwise, we'd be pounding a lot of information out about NDSU. But, hey, man, the Astros up now 2-0 over the Yankees. I was watching parts of that one while I was at the Y on the bicycle and was impressed there. Great job by Houston. I think that this is a team to beat, man. You talk about the Yankees and just their struggles that they've had in the postseason. Even though they win the series, they go on to play the Astros, but They've came up against a juggernaut. The Astros now have won 5 in a row, and I think this is a solid team that, well, we know they're a solid team, but I think this is a team that is going to be the favorite in the World Series.
Yeah, Yankees kind of fell into a little bit of a buzzsaw there in Houston. I think that's obviously a tough place to play, a rowdy place, and both games were close, but they didn't feel as close as they were. Yankees even had a chance in their last at bat. They have a guy on base and then gets a check swing for the strikeout to end the game. Now you're going back to New York, and obviously you got to think they got to take all 3 there to even have a chance to go back to Houston. You only want to win 1. You don't want to be in a situation where you have to win 2 back in Houston. So it's kind of playing out the way I thought it might. I just thought for whatever reason the Yankees struggled with the Astros. We talked about it. They struggled with them in the regular season and continued in the playoffs.
It's become a big rivalry in the MLB in postseason with the Astros and the Yankees. It'll be a fun series to watch. And then also things all tied up. Padres and Phillies, 1 game apiece. Game 4 taking place tomorrow, I believe, at 6:45. It's 11:30 here on The Insiders. This hour is brought to you by Wimmer's Diamonds, a locally family-owned jeweler serving and believing in this community for over 100 years. Stop in and see them at their new showroom at 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. My good buddy Ryan Humphries on the other side with Walk On Radio. Stay with us. This is The Insiders.
Play here.
You're vice president material. You're vice president material.
Bison 1660.
Tired of your real estate goals getting blocked? Let Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty serve up your next big move in real estate. Todd's expertise in the Fargo-Moorhead area means he's the one to line up the perfect shot. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today at 701-371-4234 or visit him at Beyond Realty, 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
Jeep Adventure Days are going on now at Corwin Jeep, and the deals are hot. Get invoice pricing on all new 2022 Jeep Compass models. That's right, you pay what we pay when you get invoice pricing on all new Jeep Compasses. And that's not all. Get financing as low as 0% on a new Compass or Renegade. All new Jeeps come with Jeep Wave, our 36-month free service plan. What are you waiting for? Shop the huge selection of new inventory today, only at Corwin Jeep. Shop online, corwinauto.com.
Need storage? Mega Storage USA is here for you. Whether you need storage for your boat, camper, motorcycle, or even a food truck, they have the perfect unit for you. Contractors need a safe place to store your trailers and equipment or even a semi? Mega Storage USA has you covered. Each unit comes with 24-hour access, an electrical outlet, and light, plus top-notch customer service and more. Located off I-94 on the 29th Street interchange behind RDO in Moorhead. See all that Mega Storage USA has to offer at megastoragefargomoorhead.com or call 218-461-8158.
888.
Bourbon lovers are a distinctive group, embracing the differences from other spirits, all while expecting the rich variation of a good whiskey. That's why the Fistful of Bourbon folks, who have over 100 years of whiskey blending experience, are born to serve to those lovers of good bourbon, creating the masterpiece of blending 5 distinct bourbon whiskeys, sweet, balanced, and floral, with notes of cinnamon and licorice and buttery toffee. Fistful of Bourbon delivers a smooth, rich, full-fisted flavor like all top-shelf bourbon whiskey should. See it all at fistfulofbourbon.com. Please consume Fistful of Bourbon responsibly.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
It's been mostly sunny today with highs around 60. Tonight, cloudy skies and a low of 42. And Saturday, warm with a high near 66.
This weather update brought to you by Minn Kota Windows. Just when your kids thought it was time to head outside, a cold snap rolls in. Ditch the coat and snuggle up with peace of mind, knowing that Minn Kota's energy-efficient vinyl will block out the brutal cold and save you money. Midwest built, Midwest tough. Guaranteed for life.
We all want to be part of a winning team, right? Hi, this is Marcus with Steamatic, and I am very proud of our team. Industry experts have voted Steamatic the best method of cleaning with our patented steam cleaning process, our 24-hour service, and highly trained technicians. We do it all from carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning, fire and water damage restoration, and remember, Bison fanatics choose Steamatic.
Steamatic, call 232-4707.
From the court to the field and everywhere in between. Your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
Little Friday action here in Fargo. You betcha. 11:34. It's starting to fill in, Micah. I'm starting to get the lingo, man. Was that all right?
Oofta my.
Oh, oofta. 11:34. Here on a Friday. Thanks for joining us on The Insiders. I'm Rob Pipp. Kyle Emanuel joining us this week. Hey, when you need electrical work, you need our friends at Rick Electric. For over 56 years, Rick Electric has been providing excellent electrical service for homes and businesses. Go check them out online, rickelectric.com. I think maybe we can get that gong ready, too, here in just a few moments. Now joining us, first-time guest here on The Insiders, Ryan Humphries. There it is. There's the gong from Walk On Radio. Ryan, how you doing, my friend? Welcome in.
Good to hear you, man. I'm happy to be on the show. How's it going?
It's good. It's good to hear a little Texas accent, there too, man. Ryan, you've got that just good old Texas accent coming out, man.
Well, I try not to. I do broadcasting a little bit now too for my alma mater, high school, and I try not to let the Texas twang out too much, but probably down here it's less noticeable than up there.
That's all right, man. I'm starting to feel good up here in Fargo. It's starting to get a little chilly. I saw snow the other day, Ryan, and I was excited. Nobody else here was excited. They said, "You get that out of here. We don't want to hear about that." But hey, I wanted to have you on today. You and Dalton Meyer played for Sam Houston. The show isn't about Sam Houston. I wanted to make a connection with you and bring you on because you and Dalton Meyer, who's a tight end there at Sam, and you're a former player. Look, man, you guys have done a tremendous job with your FCS podcast called Walk On Radio. Just tell us a little bit about your journey, man, and just the Walk On experience and everything that you did.
Yeah, so Walk On Radio, that was, man, it was kind of just something that was started out on a whim. Dalton had come to me. He kind of had a radio, TV background. That was what he got his degree in. So he kind of came to me with an idea. He knew that I loved to talk sports, which obviously I love to do. And in the beginning, it was fun, and I thought we had a lot of interest. But then it kind of tinkered off, and we didn't know really what was next. And then when the FCS season got canceled in the fall of 2020 and got moved to the spring, that is really when Walk On Radio took off, because it seemed that we had, a little niche, and that garnered a lot of interest. Obviously Sam Houston, we won the national championship that spring, and so
don't mention that too much.
Yeah, well, I know you can. I can mention it though. And Walk On Radio it was kind of like the backstage pass of that run. And so I think that's really where it took off. And then when the NIL era began in college sports, we actually signed a deal with a company out of Los Angeles that kind of promoted our stuff and produced our podcast. And so, man, it was really cool. It went much farther than expected. I mean, who would have thought that we would be, selling merchandise, doing live shows, being on different TV outlets. Pretty cool deal.
Yeah, man. And are you guys still? I know you've graduated. And by the way, I was just joking. Congratulations on that 2021 national championship. It was a huge, huge feat. I was excited to be down there with you guys and just see the excitement and share that with you. And you know how I am, man. Congratulations on that, my friend. But so what has it been like? You've graduated. I know that you're an analyst there covering your local high school. Is Walk On Radio still kind of going, or what are you guys doing with that now?
Man, it's been here and there. It's tough just given that Dalton is he still plays football at Sam Houston. I am in the real world, I would call it now. I live back where I'm from in Silver Springs, and so our schedules are different. We've had some Walk On Radio episodes here and there. We haven't been as consistent as I would like, but I still think that it's going to keep going. We just got to figure out the best way to attack it.
Well, the cool thing is, and the reason I wanted to bring you on too, because there's so many people and a lot of very talented people. I mean, we've got great guys up in this area that cover FCS football and that keep up with what's going on throughout different conferences. But I love the fact that as a player and a former player, you guys are involved in this, and that takes a whole new perspective because now it's literally someone whose shoes have been there, who have been involved in it. How are you keeping up with things in the FCS now? I know that you're still putting out some stuff, and just kind of wanted to ask you that question because there's a lot happening throughout the FCS landscape.
Yeah, no question, man. And first off, I want to say that it really – I'm not saying I don't agree with the move because I know that there's lots of variables that go into something like that, but I am sad that Sam Houston will not be a part of the FCS going forward because I think the FCS is awesome. It's the best playoff system in all of football. There's really no debate in that, and I think that it really just brings a different level of competition because so many teams make the playoffs, and because there's some really great conferences top to bottom, and so I've kept up with it because I'm a fan of the Dakotas. I'm a fan of the Montanas, Eastern Washington, Weber. Delaware. My college coaching staff, at least the offensive side of the ball, they're all at Delaware now. So I really keep good tabs on that, and it's been a fun year so far.
Hey, Ryan, Kyle Emanuel here. Great to talk to you. I wanted to ask you about just those memories when you did play NDSU back in 2021. Obviously, got them at home in a weird spring season, but just your memories of that game and overall thoughts on the North Dakota State football program.
Yeah, man. Obviously, just an immense level of respect from North Dakota State. People always, ask me about them in regards to the FCS, and they'll ask me, well, they're like the Alabama of the FCS, and I tell them they're much better, relatively speaking, than the Alabama of the FCS. Just a level of dominance that really only Mount Union at Division III can attest to, and so tons of respect there. When we drew North Dakota State in that second round, there were, I wouldn't call it doubt, I would call it concern, because obviously just their playoff pedigree and how many times that they had been there and done that was something that we could not match. I mean, that was something that I definitely thought North Dakota State had over us. And when we beat them, I'll never forget that after the game, it just seemed like North Dakota State, that the players and the coaches were so they didn't have a lot of experience in losing, and so they were just disappointed, and rightfully so. And so just the level of respect that I have for the North Dakota State football program is huge.
Again, we're talking to Ryan Humphries, former FCS player there for Sam Houston, also with the Walk On Radio podcast. we talked about just the FCS landscape and how things are shifting and where things are going. I wanted to just quickly, and I'm not going to go over every single top 25 team in the FCS this year, but South Dakota State, it was a tough loss for the Bison going back just a week ago, 6 days ago here at Fargo. You don't lose a lot of them here. South Dakota State now with their first number 1 ranking in their program history. Sacramento State behind them, and the Big Sky still holding on with a little bit. Montana State is there. Then North Dakota State is at 4, and Weber State at 5. Is there anything that you've seen this year in the FCS, especially maybe a school like a South Dakota State or a Sacramento State that really stands out to you thinking, man, those guys are really starting to work up the system? What stands out to you so far?
Yeah, no doubt. I think Sac State and Weber, obviously, coming out of the Big Sky, and for them to be able to compete with the Montanas and the Montana States, that's huge for those programs. As far as South Dakota State and North Dakota State goes, man, I don't think it matters much what they're ranked today. I'm very confident that both of those schools are going to be there in the end. And I know with the playoffs being semi-based off of geography, it would not surprise me if the Bison and the Jackrabbits meet up again. And, obviously, you got Delaware out of the CAA, and I think with James Madison not being a part of that, I think that they have a real chance to make a run. Monmouth moved to that conference. Incarnate Word has impressed me this year. Nichols quarterback Lindsey Scott, he transfers to Incarnate Word and is, in my opinion, he's probably the front runner for the Walter Payton Award. So there's just lots of new blood up there. But when it's all said and done, I'm pretty confident I know who's going to be there in the end.
Ryan, with all these FCS teams, and we just saw Kennesaw State do it, and obviously Sam Houston State has done it with a number of schools. I can't list them all, but with all these teams jumping up to the FCS, what do you think the FCS landscape is going to look like moving forward? I think there's got to be some questions, and I know there's some concern up here in Fargo of, what does this league look like with all the kind of some of the juggernauts moving up to FBS?
Yeah, I think that I'm not going to say it's a bad thing for the FCS, but losing in James Madison and a Sam Houston, that hurts because I think that those at Jacksonville State, that's another one they've over the last decade they've had some playoff success. I think losing those hurt. I think that in the long run, it's basically the 2 best Dakota schools versus the 2 best Montana schools. And I think in the longer run, I think that those schools are going to have to decide whether they want to move up or not to kind of just meet the flow of the landscape of college football. I think that the big major programs like the Texas, the Bamas, the Georgias, those guys, they're going to go do their own thing eventually. That's the way things are headed, and I think that the top of the FCS could merge with kind of the group of 5 schools of college football.
Just to ask you, and Ryan, just a few more questions. Again, Ryan Humphries joining us. Appreciate you being on the Insiders with us here today on the Epic Companies Hotline. A lot of our fan base up here in Fargo, they want that jump to the FBS. People know about it. There's other fans that say, no, we like where we're at. We like winning national championships. If NDSU made that jump to FBS, where do you feel like a good fit would be? Because you just look at the landscape and the geography here, it would be tough to kind of place NDSU in certain areas. What are your thoughts on that, and where would they fit good?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think that it just depends what you're looking for, because I'll be honest with you, I think that North Dakota State, especially in years that you guys have won the national championship, I think that North Dakota State could have a winning record in the Big Ten. And I know that sounds lofty, but I'm telling you, people that don't know don't understand that the top 10 or 15 schools in the FCS are top 25 to 35 programs in all of college football, regardless of the level. And I know North Dakota State has knocked down multiple FBS schools. They beat Iowa years ago. That's a Big Ten opponent. And so if you wanted to be a part of the Power Five, I think that North Dakota State could be in the Big Ten. If you want to go group of 5, the geography doesn't work as well, but you've also got Pac-12 schools going to the Big 12, so I don't know that the geography matters all that much these days.
Well, Ryan, appreciate your insight. I did have one final question for you as a former player, and you were kind of on the tail end of it. I wanted to just briefly get your thoughts on NIL and how it's being utilized. You just mentioned with y'all's show you were getting some NIL deals there, but you're obviously out of college football now. Where do you think NIL is heading? Do you think that there was a lot of thought that was put in to the way name, image, and likeness has worked out, or do you think that there's a lot of just situations where programs may be taking advantage of it as a recruiting tool, because we know it's obviously being used for that now?
Right, and there's no question that programs are taking advantage of it, and I'm not necessarily saying that that's a negative, but it's a reality. So
yeah, and if it's there, why not take advantage of it?
Well, if I have the means to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's kind of where I was alluding to with the Texas and the A&Ms and the Bamas and those guys that just have more money than college football itself. They're on their own time. I think that the NIL, I think in theory it's a good deal. I'm not going to sit here and argue that kids shouldn't have the rights to their name, image, and likeness as far as jerseys and commercials and things like that go. I wish that there was a little more regulation with it. It seems like it's being used as a recruiting tool too much, and I don't. It's just not fair in some spots, because if I can do it to get a kid, I'm going to do it. And now that it's legal, it just, golly, you really have opened up the floodgates to something that I don't even think we've seen the beginning of it.
Well, Ryan, appreciate your insight. It's always good to catch up with former players and just to just get your insight on what's going on throughout the college landscape, especially throughout the FCS. And thank you for your comments about NDSU as well. Always appreciate you. We'll have to have you back on the show sometime, my friend.
Absolutely, anytime. Who do the Bison have this weekend?
We're on the bye week, not the off week.
Okay.
Some people call it the off week. Nobody's off. Okay. It's the bye week, and then it's Illinois State coming up.
Okay. Well, go Bison.
Oh man, all right, I like that.
Yeah,
little orange with some green coming right there. We appreciate that. Ryan, have a great day, man.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, once again, that was Ryan Humphries there on the Epic Companies hotline. Appreciate him calling in. Epic Companies, the area's premier real estate investing and development firm. You can visit them online at epiccompaniesnd.com. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. More on the Insiders when we return.
Always having a good time, but never letting it get out of hand.
I approach you from the front and kind of like, wow, this dude's pretty serious. Then I walk away and you're like, he likes to party with 2 R's.
You got the Insiders on Bison 1660.
As the days get shorter and the temps get a little cooler, now is the time to start thinking about projects for Rick Electric in your home this fall. Hey, it's Chris Hansen. Rick Electric has been proudly providing services in the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Right now's a great time to schedule your winter projects, like having a Generac whole house generator with automatic transfer switch installed, or more outlets for Christmas lights. Rick Electric, 233-6194, or go to rickelectric.com.
Since Nodak Insurance Company started, we've gone from paying by mail to paying online. Your proof of insurance in the glove box has changed to a quick tap to our online app. And as new technologies make farming more efficient, our coverage ensures you're always protected. The way we live and work has changed, but our values, service, and commitment have remained the same. Nodak is constantly evolving to meet your insurance needs and deliver answers where and when you need them most. Nodak Insurance Company. Agents with answers.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Invest in your community with Epic Companies. Hey, this is Mac. Have you been looking to diversify your portfolio and dive into real estate? We offer multiple types of investing through our mixed-use buildings and entertainment plazas. If you are an accredited investor and interested in hearing more about the investment process and how you can be part of enhancing the quality of life in the area, visit epiccompaniesnd.com to review our investment options. That's epiccompaniesnd.com.
Number 1 lightweight Charles Oliveira is the underdog tonight as he meets number 4 Islam Makhachev in the octagon. Get to Twin Peaks early and grab a bite before back-to-back title bouts. Who do you think leaves the fight lightweight champion? Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Tune in each week for Matt Entz's Game Week press conferences right here on Bison 1660. Every Monday at 2 o'clock, Coach Entz recaps the previous game and looks ahead to the upcoming opponent for the Bison. Our coverage of the NDSU press conferences is brought to you by Bonanza Egg, your local independent egg dealer. Every Monday at 2 o'clock, Matt Entz's Game Week press conferences right here on your home for NDSU football, Bison 1660.
You're listening to your home for NDSU athletics.
To the 10, cuts it back, 5, shot in there, baby!
Bison 1660.
Those classic Phil Hansons right there. Get in there on a Friday. We're getting in there.
You feel the emotion on them.
You can.
Just oozing.
We're getting in there on a Friday. It's been a fun week. Thanks for joining us back here on the Insiders. Rob Hipp alongside Bison great Kyle Emanuel, Micah Bendy, running the dials for us. Appreciate everybody joining us. Been a good week so far on the bye week. It's been kind of weird. I was just talking to some of our employees here in the studio, in the station, and Kyle, it's kind of weird on these bye weeks because you get in these routines, and I want to kind of allude to this, maybe to you as a former player. You get in the routine of doing these things. On the bye week, you're still doing the practices. You're still in the flow. But as a player, I mean, does that routine get broken a little bit with the bye week, and does it just kind of feel weird?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely does. Like, and especially because of the bye week where it's hit, when it is week 8, and you've been doing this for so long, and they're just used to the routine. Athletes are creatures of habit. I know that's been said a ton, but it's true, and it's kind of done for a reason. It keeps you in that routine, keeps your body used to, here's when I get up for practice, here's when I get up for the game. And so, yeah, it definitely throws it off. And I think, they do a good job, though, of you're still somewhat in a routine. It's just slightly different as a player. I don't know what their exact schedule is this week, but I know when I was playing, I think Coach Bowl specifically would he'd give us some time off, but make sure it wasn't too much where we could really get away and, maybe get into a little bit of a trouble or something like that. You still got to stay focused on the season. I think we would practice on Friday, or maybe we get Friday off. Then you had practice on Saturday, so it's still like a game. That's similar because you basically don't practice on Friday and during the week anyway. It's like a walkthrough in meetings. And then so you practice Sunday or Saturday, then you might have Sunday off, and then you come back, and then now you're right back into your routine. Try and keep game week the same as possible. But I remember even just coming back off the bye week once you got into the game, it just felt weird. It feels like you haven't played forever, which is crazy. It's only a week longer, but it felt like it's been forever since you've been on the football field, and kind of took a drive or two to really get back into the flow of things.
Yeah, I've felt out of whack. I was talking to, like I said, one of our fellow coworkers here, and she was like, "Yeah, no game this week." I said, "No, it just feels weird because I'm used to doing press conference. I'm used to doing player interviews. Used to Wednesday starting really to work on my charts, dig in, talk to opposing radio guys. And this week I'm like, what's going on? And thank goodness we had the Insiders this week. I mean, we always have it, but it's like this has been great because this has filled in. Did a lot of prep work going into each show, so I've kept some sort of a routine going. It's just not the routine that I'm used to. So, well, hey, Illinois State, that's not happening, of course, Saturday, but it will happen Saturday after next. Wanted to ask your thoughts on this on October 29th, coming up Saturday after next. Maybe one of your consolidated communications keys to the game, just one.
Yeah, we'll go with one, and I'll point to the one. When I was a player, we would do we would have a quiz before the game, right? And one of the last questions my coach would always ask me was, "What's the key to the game?" And I wrote down the same thing. I would put two, but the first one was always the same defensively, and it was stop the run. That was always my first one because you have to stop. You always want to make a team one-dimensional. You got to stop the run. Obviously, that's been a big topic of conversation for this Bison defense. I think this is a it has the potential to be a get-right game against the run. I think Illinois State, I've said it before, we talked about it yesterday, I think this is a good team. They could be coming off 3 wins if they win this weekend. I believe they have Indiana State. Could be coming on a 3-game winning streak, a team with a little bit of confidence. They're finding ways to win the game. They do struggle a little bit running the ball. They struggle kind of in general offensively. I think they're only putting up like 17, 18 points a game. They're only averaging 98 yards per game on the ground. So I think key number 1 in this ball game for NDSU, coming off this bye week, find a way to keep an opponent under 100 yards. I know that's not the only stat. That's not the stat that really matters. The points on the board is the ultimate stat that matters. But in this game, a team that might be struggling a little bit offensively, can you not give them any life? Can you stymie them on the ground and force Zach Annexstad, their quarterback, to beat you through the air?
That's a good one. We'll have more, too, as the show continues. Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the area that is SOC 2 certified with tested, reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data for scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs. Go to consolidated.com/data center. Also want to remind you, Easton Stick is with us every Tuesday. That's brought to you by our good friends at Sun Butter, the maker of delicious sunflower butters that the whole family can enjoy. Sun Butters, free of the top 8 food allergens, including peanuts, tree nuts, soy, dairy, grown in the tri-state area and produced locally at Red River Commodities. Here in Fargo, Sun Butter, simple ingredients, delicious flavor. 11:58 as we start to close out this top of the hour. Oh, I like that little Slim Shady going on in the background there. You jam out to Slim back in the day?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Man. Back in the day.
Those were like the jams.
Had to.
The stuff nowadays isn't it, man.
Well, there's still some good stuff.
There's not that much. Let's be honest, man. Now it's like, Kenny Rogers throwback for me.
There you go.
You gotta jam out. All right, we'll step aside, take a break. Guess what? Got a little surprise for you, gentlemen. Frito pie.
Can't wait.
Frito pie is in the parking lot. I got to go open the door and get this Frito pie in here. We'll be back in a moment on a Friday here on The Insiders.
No matter where you work, whether it's at your kitchen table or in the office, you need to collaborate with your team. ProConnect from Consolidated Communications makes it happen. You'll never miss a call when you can answer from your desk phone, laptop, or cell phone. And you can communicate instantly using real-time messaging. Confidently connect with customers over secure video conferencing and work together to create and share documents. Get ready to connect, collaborate, and communicate brilliantly. Choose ProConnect, your team collaboration tool from Consolidated Communications.
Your brilliant proposal starts with Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, your source for mined and certified lab-grown diamonds. Looking to create a custom engagement ring? Our team of jewelry experts will help you create that perfect ring, mesmerizing her, creating an heirloom to be cherished for a lifetime. Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, 3241 42nd Street South, Fargo. Online at schmittsjewelry.com.
I love listening to Bison 1660, but what am I supposed to do when I can't be by a radio? I want to hear all of the coverage of NDSU athletics, but I don't live in North Dakota.
Never fear, the Bison 1660 app is here. Wherever you go and however you want to listen, you can listen for free on the Bison 1660 mobile app. Download it today on your app store and listen live to the Insiders, Fox Sports Radio, and all of our coverage of NDSU athletics. The Bison 1660 app, powered by Thunder Seed. Thunder Seed, first in the field.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
The Fargo-Moorhead Diversion needs your help to transform our home into a safer and more successful place to live. When you join the ASN Constructors Fargo-Moorhead Area Diversion Channel team, you will take responsibility for creating a safety net for 250,000 people right here at home. Be part of history and the highest profile project in the FM area in years. ASN Constructors need dirt movers, heavy equipment operators, laborers, and construction apprentice. You'll earn great wages and benefits, including 401k. Apply now at asnconstructors.com.
Try
Truck headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
Good news for Steeler fans. Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett is off concussion protocol, and he is in line to play on Sunday. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is fairly confident about getting left tackle Teron Armstead back for Tua's return on Sunday against those Steelers. Jets head coach Robert Saleh announcing wide receiver Elijah Moore will not take part in Sunday's game. Saleh said the team has no interest in honoring Moore's trade demands. The Toronto Blue Jays extending manager John Schneider through 2025 with that team option added for the 2026 campaign. The PGA Tour has filed a federal civil lawsuit against the Saudi financiers of LIV Golf. The PGA is hoping to convince a judge to remove the leader of the Saudi Golf's fund and to force LIV to hand over documents to tour attorneys. And former world number 1 tennis player Simona Halep failed a drug test. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders. The Insiders. The Insiders. Insiders.
Bison great Kyle Emanuel and the voice of the Bison, Rob Hipp.
12:04 on a Friday. Not Friday, on a Friday. Here on the Insiders. Thanks for joining us live from the beautiful Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. I'm going to tell you one thing, friends. When I came here to Radio FM Media and I walked into this studio, my jaw literally dropped. It just how great, and I'm not saying it because I work here, but I'm just saying it because it's a lot to be proud of. And when you think of NDSU athletics and academics and the university at whole, I've said it numerous times. Many of you have heard me say this, the word excellence. Do not take for granted the great things here in this community and the great things that happen in NDSU through athletics, through academics. And then you walk in here, and it's almost like anything tied into that university just has a lot of excellence built around it. And so when you walk in here to the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio and you look around, you say, man, this is great. This is incredible. Kyle, we definitely don't take it for granted because it is a beautiful place to be. It's a great place to be able to reach Bison Nation and just share our thoughts and our love for this university and this community, man.
Yeah, and it goes to just everything around this university. Like you said, I love that Radio FM Media is kind of taking that upon themselves as well. It's like, hey, it goes to all the sports. We just talked about football, but it's all the sports and really committing to that excellence that you talked about, Rob, and not taking anything for granted and really working for it. And you can kind of see here in the studio. I know I'm a part-time host. I'm only here for a few days, but I've always enjoyed my time inside the studio, and it really is it's next level.
I joked around. I said when I first walked in here, I thought I was wearing my boots, man, so I had ostrich skin boots. I said I should take my boots off when I walk in here, But it's a great place to be, and we want to thank all of you for being a part of it. I want to remind you, too, do you need to stock up on all your favorites for watching football? Of course you do. Well, our friends at the Spirit Shop, they have you covered with their huge selection of beer, wine, or spirits at the best prices, great weekly specials. It's the Spirit Shop off 13th behind Shills Home and Hardware. Well, I talked earlier, it was free. I can't even say that, man. Free Flow Friday. And we said that the Epic Company's hotline was open. You can call us. You can text us, 701-476-1660. And now we're going to send it over to our good friend John in West Fargo. John, thanks for calling us on the Epic Company's hotline here on a Free Flow Friday. What's on your mind?
Is it
Friday or Friday?
Friday. You got it, man. Friday.
That was a pretty good segment you guys had yesterday on all the different accents. It was interesting to hear.
You betcha.
See, James Hendricks made a comment yesterday that was interesting to me, and I'd like to hear you guys talk about that a little more. But he said the Bison defensive line and the linebacker core are a little undersized from what they have been in the past. I knew the linebacker core probably was, but didn't really know that about the defensive line. And why don't you guys talk about that? Is that true? I mean, do you feel the same way? And are they really getting pushed around more than normal? What do you notice on that?
Well, I'll let Kyle, he's the defensive king. I'll let Kyle kind of lead that discussion.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go through and really look at the heights and weights. I haven't done that. I don't think we're super undersized along the defensive line. I think anytime you get linebackers that are converted from safety, which we see, James Kaiser obviously is that way, that's when you get kind of some of these undersized guys. I will say, though, I played with undersized guys. Travis Beck, everyone's going to remember Travis Beck. That dude was like 205, and he was playing linebacker in the Missouri Valley, playing against Big 12 schools, and did just fine. So I don't think it's necessarily all about the size, and I think James would say the same thing. I think it's one thing you could maybe point to. I think it's more so you look at the guys that played last year, and I know I've mentioned this before, but the guys that played last year and the guys that are injured, there's 7 guys along that front 7, I believe actually defensive line specifically, that are gone from a year ago. So you have a little bit of inexperience. You got guys trying to figure things out. And then, it goes back to what me and James also talked about. I think the way that the teams are attacking NDSU, I think everyone has their own game plan, and then they have their game for other teams, and then they have a game plan that they use against NDSU. And I think they've kind of they cater their entire offseason to attacking the standard, and that standard is North Dakota State, and we've seen it with teams spreading it out. I mentioned it yesterday. You're not seeing teams just line up in 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends, getting really big 13 personnel and just attacking us downhill like NDSU does the other people. They're spreading you out. We've really seen the RPO game come alive, and they're really putting linebackers in predicaments of, okay, are you going to sit in your zone coverage and take away that slant behind you, or are you going to run and fill your run gap, and then I'm going to pull it, and then I'm going to hit the slant behind you? They've used South Dakota State used a ton of pre-snap motion, which again I'll just talk about that for a little bit. It really makes your eyes on defense are so critical, and where are your eyes pre-snap? Where do they move to post-snap? What is your post-snap key? And they've just done I think teams have done a nice job of attacking NDSU in different ways, running the ball, not necessarily in such a traditional way. I know I just rambled there for a long time, but there's a lot that goes into playing defense. So going back to John's original question, I don't know if we're undersized. I don't think so. I don't think that's the one thing I would point to.
Yeah, and I think it's just the fundamentals and I'm saying it because the coaches have said it publicly, is the tackling, the fundamental tackling. You got to get back to just tackling. And the other thing too is you think about when you get into a rut, what do you have to do to get out of that rut? You talk about in the NBA and basketball, guys get into shooting slumps. And then you go through several games and you finally step out of that. And the coaches have said this too. Sure. The guys are just kind of getting in their own way.
Yeah.
How do you dissect that and get out of your own way?
I think it's a mental block at this point. I think it's one of those things you just keep talking about, and you just need to find a way to literally get a little bit of confidence there, and just especially when it comes to stopping the run, because I think they've been really good against the pass, and the stats will prove that. But it's almost one of those things you just keep talking about it over and over, and it becomes a little bit of a mental block. You start thinking about it too much. Now you're getting into the whole one-on-one with the running back, and you think, oh, I can't miss this tackle. I can't miss this tackle. That's not a way to play football. That's no way to play any sport, is when you're in your head, you start to move slow, your brain takes over rather than just letting your athletic ability and your reaction time and those things taking over. When you're in a place where you're not thinking, and I know that sounds counterintuitive, like, well, you have to be thinking, yes, but you don't want to be thinking too much. You want to be reacting. You want to just let your body do the reaction. You've seen all the pictures throughout camp, throughout other games. Now you just got to let your body react. And sometimes when you talk about it so much and you think about it so much and you're working in practice, it almost becomes this mental hurdle that you have to just kind of get over at some point. And that's why I pointed to that for Illinois State as a key to the game, is because this feels like a game where, especially for the Bison defense, you could get that confidence back, which can help you moving forward.
got to just find a way to do that and just get out of your own way. And I think it's so important. And there's not really a light switch that I know. Look, as a fan base, I feel the fan base 100%. As a guy who calls the games, I want the Bison to win every single game. It's a unique perspective on the radio side when you get to call a game because you get to be a fan in that booth. I look over to your side, Kyle, and I said, man, I wouldn't want to be on the TV side. Not in a negative way. You and Dom do an excellent job, but I'm not saying in a negative way, but you can't really be a 70% fan. You've got to be more neutral. And so I get it on the fan side saying, hey, we've got to do this, and we have to figure out a way to do this better, and we've got to be able to tackle better. All those things are 100% right. And I think this bye week is coming at a good time. I've talked about it this week on this show. I don't think you're going to sit around and dwell on it a whole lot. I think the coaching staff does a good job of moving these kids forward, and it comes at a good opportunity to say, okay, we've got 2 weeks now to evaluate where we've been missing the mark. That gives you time, I would think, to watch more video, to go over and look at opponents. When we played South Dakota State, at that point, and I don't know if we brought this up on the broadcast, we may have. It was in my notes, but we hadn't played a common opponent all season. You got to think, what does that factor into it? You go look at Illinois State coming up in 2 weeks. You've got some time, or a week now. You've got some time to really look and evaluate and see where you're at.
So, Rob, I went back just for John, so he can we can talk about the size. I would say that the one player maybe you'd say is a little undersized as a D tackle. Not that it can't be done. Is Will Mostar's listed at 260. I don't think that's completely undersized as a 3 technique. Maybe you'd want to be a little bit bigger there. Bryce Friday 282, Jackson Dutenheffer 280, Cody Heisman 279, Javier Derrett 279. So again, Eli Mostar was listed at 6'3", 280. Spencer Wagee at D end is 282. You're looking at D lineman, I think anywhere between 270 and 290 is kind of your ideal weight probably there. So, again, just to dive into that even further, I don't think along the defensive line we're small, but we're also not probably the biggest defensive front that you're going to see throughout the country.
And if we're looking, I look back at the 2013 roster, look at those defensive tackles and linebackers, because once you made the Travis Beck comment that he weighed like 204, I was like, really? So then I looked, he was at 214 listed on the roster. Well, that was
listed.
But
week to week, it was a little bit lower.
Okay, so we'll just go by listed. Listed at 214, and then, James Kaiser. James Kaiser's listed at 215. So it's not the undersized. And then I looked at the defensive tackles of 2013. You have Levon Perry, Nate Tangway when he was a freshman.
Ryan Drevlo.
Those guys are in that same 270, 280 range.
Yeah, that's what they've always been, kind of. Because NDSU, and you've seen it with Will Mostard and Eli, we've had a lot of success with defensive ends converting to D tackles, and then they're just more athletic. And that's kind of been the system that we've used, is taking talented defensive ends that are maybe a little bit too big to play defensive end, moving them inside, and we've had a lot of success. In that 2013 class, that senior class, almost every D tackle was a D end at one point. Cole Jurek was the only one that stayed. All the other ones were like Drevlo was a defensive end. Danny Lukey was a defensive end. Levon Perry, I believe, was a defensive end. If not, he might have been the only one that stayed at D tackle.
Did they realize that Cole wasn't good enough to move inside, so they had to keep him at the edge?
He's not physical enough. Can't use his hands. Going to get pushed around, so we'll just keep him on the edge.
It's time to take some shots at the Cole Jurek. He's probably listening. Cole, we love you, man. Going to miss Cole this weekend. Well, hey, and I was going back looking and talking about Illinois State. The only common opponent that Illinois State has played, that NDSU has also played South Dakota. So there's a little bit of tape that maybe you can look at that and take free from it as well. 12:15 as we continue here on The Insiders. When you need electrical work, want to remind you our friends at Rick Electric can take care of you. For over 56 years, they've been doing just that, taking care of folks. Rick Electric has been providing excellent electrical service for homes and businesses. Visit them online at rickelectric.com. We've got Frito pie in our face. We're going to have to step aside, take a break, take a bite of it. We'll let you know how it is when we come back here on The Insiders.
Your home for the Thundering Herd.
Hey, you got any left-handed football?
Bison 1660.
Proceed Experience is the people that we're working with, the hands-on. We're not a super large company, but we're hands-on dealing with customers. I know most of these fields because of the time I've been covering this area. In many cases, I've covered with up to the third generation of operators on the farm, from grandpa down to the son that's being handed over to now, and it's very, very rewarding and fulfilling to be able to do that.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net.
great seed at a reasonable price.
Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume in the United States, and certainly the top ag lender in the Dakotas. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers just like you who are committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. I'm Judd Graham, Market President of our new Fargo, North Dakota location, and my team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Trust and insurance are not FDIC insured.
I love listening to Bison 1660, but what am I supposed to do when I can't be by a radio? I want to hear all of the coverage of NDSU athletics, but I don't live in North Dakota.
Never fear, the Bison 1660 app is here. Wherever you go and however you want to listen, you can listen for free on the Bison 1660 mobile app. Download it today on your app store and listen live to the Insiders, Fox Sports Radio, and all of our coverage of NDSU athletics. The Bison 1660 app, powered by Thunder Seed. Thunder Seed, first in the field.
Hi, it's Kelly, and I want to tell you about my great experience with Valley Service Mechanical. They were polite and very easy to deal with. They were knowledgeable and helped me understand every step of the process, from the initial discussion of purchase options to the installation. It was a top-notch experience. If you ever want to work with professionals, I would strongly recommend Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
Sicky's Garage. 50 burgers, 50 brews.
Sicky's has the game plan for game day. Kick off with award-winning wings, maybe tachos, or go for the end zone with a Kobe burger, or get it supercharged. Show off your skills with our football bracket. Score big with weekly prizes, and register to win an 80-inch flat-screen TV. Go to Sicky'sBurgers.com, make your picks, and we'll see you at Sicky's.
Sicky's Garage. 50 burgers, 50 brews, and more. Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Sunny skies on your Friday with highs in the low 60s and wind gusts near 20 miles per hour. Tonight, clouds return with a low around 42.
This weather update brought to you by Minn Kota Windows. Just when your kids thought it was time to head outside, a cold snap rolls in. Ditch the coat and snuggle up with peace of mind, knowing that Minn Kota's energy-efficient vinyl will block out the brutal cold and save you money. Midwest built, Midwest tough. Guaranteed for life.
Hey, Bison Nation, this is NDSU quarterback Cam Miller.
This one is a keeper by Miller, left side touchdown.
And you're listening to The Insiders on Bison 1660.
It's a Friday. Yep. On the end. I'm not even going to start that. I almost felt like starting it. And then I said, I will not be welcome in Fargo anymore if I start trying to freestyle rap, Kyle Emanuel. So I will not do that. I'm going to keep it here good on a 12:20 on the Insiders. Just got some bites of that Frito pie, and I'm not talking up my bride, but my.
Wow.
It was good.
No, she killed it for sure. And I was like, I was telling Rob, can we just skip this next segment? I got to eat, man. I don't know how I'm going to put this down. And I compared it to taco in a bag. So if anyone hasn't had Frito pie, I think it's similar. It's obviously it's different because now it's chili, not just straight meat and cheese, but amazing. And she left some extras.
Yeah, there's a whole big old huge tub of it in there. If you have had Frito pie before, text us on the Epic Companies hotline if you've had it before, and let us know what you think of it.
It is so good. I'm a foodie. I'm not like picky, and that's the best part about like eating is not being picky. I can eat so many foods. This is delicious. Delicious.
701-476-1660 here on a Free Flow Friday. We'd love to hear from you. What's on your mind? Appreciate John calling in earlier. Also, some friends joining us on the Horse Cam, by the way. If you're on Facebook right now, thank you for joining us. If you're listening on the radio, you can always join us behind the scenes on that Horse Cam. You can tune into the Insider streaming live on Facebook, courtesy of Horse. Horse, farming with passion, online at horse.com. Been a fun Friday here. Talking a little pro sports, talking a little NDSU. Talking a little Ryan Humphries earlier, former player with his perspective, also a media guy, so it's cool to see that journey. And I forgot to tell Ryan, hey, we've got a former player and a media guy right here in studio. Kyle Emanuel's been joining us this week. Kyle, you kind of move forward. We've talked a lot about how do you move forward. You put things in the past, you wrap it up, you try to focus on the task at hand. As the season goes on, do you feel pressure mounting
on a team, or does that just kind of depend on where your record is? How did you kind of work through that as a player in your time here at NDSU?
Well, I will say I never had brag up my teams a little bit. Never had 2 losses in a year, so I can't say that I've been in this position before. But no, the pressure comes from the outside. I think this team, you have to keep everything in house, and you have to really look at ignoring playoffs, ignore seeds, ignore even trying to win the Valley. I know obviously that's the main goal, but you literally just take this 1 week at a time. And I know that's cliche, and I know that no one wants to hear that, but when you start to look at the bigger picture, when you start to look outside at playoffs, at seedings, at all those things I was talking about, that's when you get ahead of yourself and you don't focus at the task at hand. So I know Coach Entz always talks about going 1-0 for the week, and that's for good reason, because you don't want to look back, you don't want to look forward. Just focus on, at this point, Illinois State. Illinois State's the only thing that matters. The outside pressure, the outside noise, you got to be able to ignore that, and it's easier said than done, especially in the age of social media. But that's just the way it has to be. That's the way it has to be, and I think over the years, that's what NDSU has been really good at.
Well, this live today here from the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Theraldson Ethanol in Castleton open for corn receiving now through Friday for wet and dry corn. So now through today, you've got until 7 o'clock tonight to get over there, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Contact our good friends Brad or Doug at Theraldson Ethanol, or visit them online, cmgtheraldsonethanol.com, for more information. Wanted to talk about no game this week. Phil and I and Cole Jurek talk about this a lot of times during pregame before Bison football, but of course no game on Saturday, so we'll talk about Bison and the pros right now that are happening. I go back to this. I mean, you were a Bison in the pro. It's hard to put up any other FCS program that puts out as much talent as this university does at the next level from being an FCS school. 16 players are in there, and it's just tremendous to see that type of success. That was one thing that really blew me away when I came here and started to learn more about this program. You've got a great shot. If you're a great athlete and you keep rooted and you do what you do best, you've got a good chance that if you come to NDSU and you want to get to that next level, if you show the work ethic and you've got the talent for it, you could get there.
Well, yeah, and all these guys, and myself included, it's not like any of these are 4- or 5-star recruits. These are guys that were under-recruited, undervalued, coming out, getting less scholarship offers than some of the guys that you see in the league. And that's why I will point to, and I'll brag a little bit on the development of NDSU. You talk about the strength staff with Coach Craim and all they do in the offseason with lifting and conditioning and really creating a mindset and creating that culture around NDSU. And then you got to go to the coaching staff and really how they develop kids and how they teach kids the fundamentals, but also, some of the deeper stuff of football. And I think that's where NDSU kind of thrives, is just guys that are able, and we see it with Cordell Volson, obviously a guy starting right away along a number of guys, but just being able to pick up playbooks quickly and to really make that transition because they've been developed, because they've been prepared at NDSU throughout this in their entire time there. So you have to point to, that's such a critical part that I think some people overlook, is everyone wants to look at recruiting and all the stars and how many, there's all the ESPN rankings and things like that, but I can point to a school that I follow a lot in Nebraska, and they've had decent recruiting classes, but they just haven't developed players. The guys go there, they don't get better, they get worse. And that's just never the case here at NDSU. You see they'll go out and they'll get the kid from small town North Dakota that no one else wanted to look at. A guy like Cordell Volson from the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, a guy like Carson Wentz that barely played because of injury, barely played quarterback, and they gave him a shot, and look what they turned him into. Obviously he had talent as well, but it really has to speak to the developmental part of this program, and that's why you see so many kids from NDSU now playing in the NFL.
Yeah, Volson in his first season, Week 6, started and played all 57 offensive snaps at left guard for the Bengals in that 30-26 win over the Saints. A second straight penalty penalty-free game for him. Then you go back and you look at the Commanders and Carson Wentz, and of course battling an injury now. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks or so. But before that, 12 of 22 passes, 99 yards, and that 12-7 victory over Chicago recently, but fractured a finger during that game that required surgery, not placed on IR, but we know now that he will be out 4 to 6 weeks. Again, stepping stones, opportunities for players to continue to develop and grow, and Carson Wentz is one of those guys that I look at and say, man, I wish I could have been here when he was quarterbacking NDSU.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He really is. And obviously I got to play with him. I was here for 4 years with him, and a guy that sat on the bench. It's just crazy. No one knew about him, really. They knew that the talent was there, but sat behind Brock Jensen and really waited his turn. And then obviously we know what happened after that. And, hey, if you're ever going to question Carson Wentz's toughness, how about that game? He finished that game with a finger that required surgery, with a broken finger. He finished that game. I thought he actually threw some decent balls in that second half, too, with a broken finger. I know the stats don't tell the story there. Didn't even go over 100 yards passing, but they still found a way to get the win. You got to feel for him, though. I mean, everything he's been through, this is his third team in 3 years. He's trying to really show that he is that guy moving forward, that he can be the franchise quarterback that I know he can be. And now you have an injury, and I know it's part of the game, but you can't help but feel bad for him and some of the just things that he's just had to deal with throughout his career. It's pretty unfortunate.
You continue to look down, and a guy that there's been a lot of media on this year, especially here in Bison Nation. Besides Cordell, is Christian Watson for the Packers, but he's been injured, he's been out, and I hope I want to see great things from Christian. I know that he's got great capability there. It's just the injuries have kind of plagued him, and he'll continue to be out here, and hopefully, we'll see him back later on this season. But I'm not sure with that hamstring injury. You got to be very careful about that. And so Christian Watson, though, is one of those guys that continues to just have that name for NDSU out there in the pros.
And there's so much opportunity with that Green Bay Packers team. Everyone's talking about the receiver and how much they're missing Devontae Adams, which it is clear. And it's, again, talk about unfortunate timing and unfortunate things happening to guys. This could be, I know he's only a rookie, but this could really have been a year. You're playing alongside Aaron Rodgers. You have that gap now with Devontae Adams not being there anymore. They're looking for a guy to step up, and unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And I know he was on the field, in the first couple weeks, but he was coming off an injury even in the preseason. So, you can't undervalue those snaps either. The time together, getting the chemistry and all that, they wide receivers and quarterbacks need, and he just wasn't able to get that. And now, unfortunately, dealing with another injury, and like I said, at a time when really the opportunity is there for someone to really shine in that receiving core in Green Bay.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big game coming up here on Sunday. Green Bay 3-3 at Washington, who is 2-4. Noon kickoff Central on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers almost closing in now on 1,900 yards this season and 14 touchdowns. But hey, we're going to see what happens. It's kind of cool to see these two matchups whenever you've got so many guys that are throughout the league, NDSU players that are now in the pros. You're going to start to see matchups where you've got teams like a Green Bay playing Washington and Bison players on opposite sides. I think that is so tremendous. You don't see that with a lot of FCS programs.
Yeah, and I think there was I can't remember if Trey was hurt, but I believe the 49ers and Commanders faced off. Or was that last year when he was with the Colts? And you're going to have, you couldn't imagine that if you're a Bison fan back in 2004, you go Division I. Like, hey, in a couple of years down the road, you're going to have two starting quarterbacks going against each other in an NFL game. Like, how cool is that? And I also wanted to give a shout-out to, we talk to Easton Stick every week. He's on the Chargers. Well, he also has a teammate there now. I don't know if Bison Nation is aware of this. I think he just got signed a couple weeks ago. Derek Tuska is also playing for the Chargers and had a number of snaps on defense and quite a few on special teams as well. And I think you could see him there on some of those highlights with Dustin Hopkins when he's limping off and couldn't even stand up after some of those kicks. Tuska was on the field goal block or the field goal team blocking for him. So a quick shout out to Derek Tuska, and hopefully he's enjoying his time out there in LA.
Yeah, and finally, just this week, Billy Turner's return to the field, kind of the highlight for North Dakota State football players in Week 6. Turner, inactive due to injury until last week, played 72% of the Broncos' offensive snaps in Week 6, showed no signs of rust upon his return. He was not flagged for a penalty and allowed no sacks on just one pressure. A while ago, I said 16. At one point this season, there were 16 on active rosters. That's down to 14 now. Currently on NFL rosters, 12 on active rosters, and 2 on practice squads. So that kind of updates you with what's going on with Bison in the pros. This segment brought to you by Wimmer's Diamonds. For 103 years, they've watched you fall in love and stay in love, providing beautiful reminders to celebrate all your special moments. Wimmer's Diamonds, located at 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo. I had to pause there because, man, this Frito pie, I'm starting to want another bite of it. It's after 12:30. We'll stop. We'll take a break. More on the Insiders continues after this.
Champions play here.
This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball.
You're home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
30 years and counting. CI Apparel, #1 in corporate, collegiate, and high school apparel. We've partnered with college bookstores and high schools to retailers to bring you high-quality game day apparel. Whether for work or play, every day is game day at CI Apparel with brands you love. Nike, Ogio, Under Armour, and the CI Sport brand. With competitive pricing and fast turnaround times, we help you work harder, play harder, and cheer harder in style. CI Apparel, 2121 43rd Street South in Fargo, and CIapparel.com.
Dakota Refrigeration has been helping the Bison succeed behind the scenes, from their training room to their dining room, from milk to medicine, from ice to ice cream. Dakota Refrigeration has been serving Minnesota, Montana, and the Dakotas for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
On the Rocks Craft Cocktails bring natural, refreshing, bar-quality, balanced cocktails to the ready-to-drink category. Natural ingredients, no preservatives. Like the Mai Tai with Carusan Rum, the Margarita with Hornitos Tequila, an Old Fashioned with Knob Creek Bourbon, an Aviation with Larios Gin, or get spicy with a Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita with Tres Generaciones Tequila. Or maybe live it up with the Cosmopolitan with Effin' Vodka. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails. Hard to choose, easy to pour. Please drink responsibly.
Man, Phil, I love watching games with you in your new hot tub.
Me too, man.
If only we could go back in time and watch the very first Super Bowl.
Oh, you're right. That'd be so cool. Where are we?
We're at the first Super Bowl.
It must have been the hot tub. Like it was some kind of hot tub time travel machine.
Wow, you could make a movie out of this.
Heck, you could make 2 movies out of this.
Get a new hot tub from Olsen Pools and Spas.
Highway 10 in Holly and at olsenpoolsandspas.com.
Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume in the United States, and certainly the top ag lender in the Dakotas. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers just like you who are committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. I'm Judd Graham, Market President of our new Fargo, North Dakota location, and my team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Trust and insurance are not FDIC insured.
A commercial roof provides protection from the elements like snow, wind, and rain for contents and occupants of the business inside. Protect your business with a roof from All-Star Construction. All-Star Construction is the area's most referred and trusted contractor when it comes to commercial maintenance and roofing repairs. They're a business owner's best friend. Get on the schedule now before winter hits. Call or visit them online at allstarfargo.com. All-Star Construction, your roofing experts for over 40 years.
Hear that? The herd is headed your way. You're hearing from the insiders right here on Bison 1660.
12:35 on the insiders. Welcome back at it. Having a fun Friday, a free flow Friday. Your calls, your texts. We'd love to hear from you on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. Call, text, let us know you're out there. What's on your mind? This is your last opportunity to do so, by the way, as we are down to the final segment after this. But let us know you're out there again on the Epic Companies hotline. We'd love to hear from you, even if you just want to say hello. You know what? I'm gonna invite you just to say hello today. We do it on the football broadcast, and always ask all of our great farmers that are out there and our listeners, Bison Nation, send us your pictures. If you're out there working, you're harvesting, you're in the combine, send us a picture. And man, Kyle, it's nuts. That's one thing when I was talking about the radio broadcast earlier. I love that part of it because when we kind of have that call to action during the game, we'll get 80, 90 text messages per game.
Really?
And probably about 80% of those are guys out there in the tractors and their combines. Harvesting, man.
Harvesting, doing the work, feeding America, and listening to Bison football.
That just doesn't. Did you just hear that real quick? Say that again. That sounds like a T-shirt that we could start selling here.
I don't even remember what I said.
It just sounded. It sounded really American-y.
Harvesting, feeding America, and listening to Bison football.
Harvesting,
feeding America, and listening to Bison football.
I think it was harvesting, doing the work.
Doing the work. There it was.
There
I
it is.
forgot
Yeah,
that
yeah,
part.
yeah.
Harvesting, doing the work.
Feeding America.
Feeding America, Bison football.
Harvesting, doing the work, feeding America, Bison football.
Dude, that's a new T-shirt, man, right there.
There you go.
Kyle Emanuel.
Hey, I'm glad I can help.
Yeah, all right.
Bison 1660 special for you.
Let's talk about NIL though. I need a cut of those.
Yeah.
When we start selling those T-shirts.
Take it to a whole another level. We're having too much fun up here today. Hey, we mentioned earlier a key to the game. Want to give you another opportunity. There's multiple keys to the game that you got to have. Give us another consolidated communications keys to the game versus Illinois State.
Yeah, well, I went defense last time, so I'll go on the offensive side for NDSU, and I think Illinois State has a guy that stood out, and we've talked about him a little bit. Zeke Vandenberg's a guy that along that defense for Illinois State, I think he's really stood out this year, and a guy that was popped up on a couple Buck Buchanan Award watch lists at times. So obviously you got to neutralize him. You got to be able to run the ball. Illinois State's only given up 128 on the ground, so now we've seen that before with teams that haven't necessarily played a team that really dials in and is committed to running the ball. So not a huge concern there, but still, I think this is a stout defense. So kind of piggybacking off what I said about NDSU's defense, I think that NDSU offensively really has to get off to a fast start. When you have a team that's maybe struggling a little bit offensively, if you can get up in that game, that really creates the one dimension that I was talking about. When a team is behind, now do they have to get away from running the ball? Are they going to stay committed to running the ball at that point? Probably not. They're going to start to air it out. So I think getting off to a fast start, getting that 14-0 lead, the 21-0 lead, just like we saw last week, and then obviously maintaining it into the second half is going to be key. But really tiring out this defense, staying on the field, maintaining drives, and getting out to that fast start.
That is your Consolidated Communications keys to the game. Consolidated Communications, providing high-speed internet and phone service for businesses of all sizes. Contact our good friends at Consolidated Communications today. Speak to a representative. It's Consolidated has the best expertise to translate technology into solutions that fit your business. Appreciate that input. Darla Jean Harlow had sent us an email a few days ago on the Rick Electric email inbox. And Darla Jean, if you are listening, I apologize. I did not get to that email. We were talking to Chris Hansen about how he had to go and lost a bet, went to SDSU, went down to Brookings, had to spend days there. We had him on the show yesterday. Darla Jean was talking about some of the chapters in her life here on the Rick Electric email inbox, and she said that she drove, in one of the chapters of her life, she drove a truck with her husband. She said, we were picking up a sign for the West Edmonton Mall. This was before GPS, so I called for directions to the plant after exiting I-29. I had to talk to 3 people before I got the information. This was late in the evening. I was wondering how these folks get to work. When the door was open to the back of the truck and to load, I understood immediately. The smell of the epoxy, or whatever they use, gave me an immediate headache. If I would have remained in the loading area, I would have been higher than a kite in no time. All right, Darla Jean. I waited outside until it was time to strap the load. Having the doors open had helped. I still laugh at this, and the one and only time I wondered how people giving me directions managed to get to work. And she was referencing, people giving you directions and kind of how it misleads. So, Darla Jean, thank you for sending that in. She's also joins us quite a bit at Sickies as well on Thursdays. We were not there this week, and so we're looking forward to being back at Sickies in location next week. But, yeah, you never know. Have you ever had a situation, Kyle, where it's weird because we have GPS now? By the way, Ronald Reagan is the one who made GPS public use. I didn't know if you knew that. It's a little history.
Yeah,
it was military use back in the mid 80s, late 80s, and Ronald Reagan said we need to make this available for everyone. And so it was Ronald Reagan kind of flipping the switch, and that's how it became open to everyone. Did you ever have a situation? I mean, I haven't gotten lost in a long time because of GPS.
No, well, yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation where didn't have service or something like that. But now even my truck has it technically. So if the worst case scenario, I could type in home on my truck and it'll take me to my house. Worst case scenario if I'm in the middle of nowhere type of thing. No, I can't. When I turned 16 and started driving, now I didn't have a smartphone at the time, but I wasn't really going anywhere. I was in small town Nebraska, so it was like I didn't need GPS. And then by the time I went to college, I think I already had the smartphones were already around. So I can't really. And I'm the type of guy that I don't want to ask for help unless I absolutely have to. So no, I haven't had a situation like that.
Yeah. Are you the guy too that if somebody tells you, "Oh, it's at the northeast corner of the end zone," I don't know. I need like left or right. If I'm facing the sign that says hello, it's to the left of the sign that says hello, not at the northeast part of the sign. I'm not good with those kind of directions, man.
I'm okay with direction. Fargo's easy for me because of the way the interstates run. The interstates are north and south, east and west, like not at an angle. And now I lived in Orange County, where I believe it's the 405 is at a direct angle. I never knew my directions. I know that's weird, but that's just kind of how I am. Fargo's kind of laid out in a grid, and it's all easy for me. You know, the avenues and the streets run east to west, north and south. So it's just like it's easier for me. So I'm okay with the directions, but I am like in my hometown, it's smaller. Like if you told me an address, I would have no idea. But if you're like, oh, you know, it's over by, you know, the Dollar General, and then you turn right, and then it's, you know, just okay. I'm a landmark person there, but in Fargo, I've become more of like, you give me an address, I think I can figure it out.
All right. Hey, by the way, on the Epic Company's text line, Todd Ankenbauer sent us a pic, and I hope I got your last name right there, Todd. Thank you for sending this in. As we were talking about all the good, hardworking people here, good folks here in North Dakota out there working. He is out there right now in the combine. Just sent us a picture, so thank you for sending that in, Todd. We will go over to the Epic Company's phone line here on a Free Flow Friday. Donley is calling in. Donley, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Hopefully you guys are doing the same.
We're just enjoying the good life here on a Friday, kind of nervous about what are we going to do over the weekend. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Well, you just said you wanted people just to call in to say hi, so that's what I'm doing. But, you know, I've been listening, or I shouldn't say listening, but reading to all the social media of the South Dakota loss last weekend, which obviously isn't what any of us were hoping for. But, you know, there's an awful lot of folks that are complaining that the sky's falling and that we need to, you know, change over the entire coaching staff, and just unfortunately haven't had a chance to listen to this show most of the week. I'm guessing you talked to it to death, but just wondering what you guys' thoughts are, because I think it's a bunch of malarkey that we won the national championship last year, and 9 of the last 11, if I'm counting correctly, and you know we're still got a lot of good things in the horizon. So just kind of looking to see what kind of positive reinforcement you can provide to Bison Nation.
Yeah, Donley, we appreciate that phone call, and thank you for that. Yeah, I wish you could have listened earlier on this week, because from day one when I walked in here on Monday, I said it's going to be a positive week, and we talked good about. Look, you know that we lost, but you brought up a good point. 9 championships and 11 seasons. There's not a lot of teams there's no team that can say that. There's so much good things happening with this Bison team. Bye week is here. We'll get through it, and the goals still remain the same. Micah.
Donley can listen to all of our previous shows from the week. It's on our socials, Twitter, Facebook. If you'd like to hit those up, we got them all dated for you, so he gets all that Bison Nation talk.
That's right. I left Mike out because Micah's the one that does all that. Yeah. I mean, so we sign off, and we're like, okay, well, now it's on to preparing for tomorrow's show. Micah's still back here hard at work, getting everything up on the social. So, but yeah, I appreciate that call, and I think that's good. I think that it's maybe split right now with fans 50-50 on some of their thoughts, but I think you've just got to remain positive. And look, guys, I came from an area and a program that won a national championship, but they won one. They got knocked out big time. Kyle Emanuel knows. He was there in, 3 of those games where Sam Houston just got obliterated. And, be thankful for what you've got. I know, because the demand for that excellence and winning is so strong, and you want to continue to see that. But I got to tell you, Bison Nation, keep your heads up. Keep believing in these kids, because, look, whenever you get down, that's the time that these young people really need you to believe in them.
Yeah, and I want to say something about pumping the brakes on all this firing everyone talk. And I understand. I think this is just a symptom of when you're a fan and you're outside a program and something happens, you're not happy about it, you're frustrated, you want to do something, but you don't know what it is. So it's just immediately the thing the fans go to is just fire everyone. Okay, that's not the solution to everything. That's not the solution to problems in football, is to get rid of everyone and start over. So let's just pump the brakes with that talk. Okay, we're fine. I know, again, I'm frustrated about last Saturday. I know that the fans are frustrated, but trust me, the coaches are more frustrated. I think about a guy like Tyler Rowland. I was reading an article on ESPN that ESPN came to town and did an article about the Dakota Marker, and even the writer was mentioning, when he was talking to Coach Roll, and he brought up the 2 times that Coach Roll lost as a player, and he's like, you could see the veins start to pop in his forehead, and he was upset about it. That like there's no one, I would argue, no one in this community that wants to win more than that guy, and that kind of resonates throughout the whole coaching staff. So I understand the frustration, and you're gonna. No one's happy, especially when you lose. But when you lose to that team, no one's happy. But as you said, Rob, we'll keep it positive here, and we'll hope for the best next week.
Ryan McGee had that article. It was a great article. Yes, Micah.
There was a time back when NDC was moving right into Division I. And I believe it was probably when you were getting recruited, Kyle, where people were calling for Coach Bull's job.
Oh, yeah, 3-8? Of
After
course
3-8, they wanted him out. Well, guess what?
Look
Coach
what happened
Bull,
after that.
look what happened. And look where we're at right now. We're calling for people's jobs. Well, just be patient, see how the season ends, and I think a lot of good things are going to happen this year.
That's right. Well, hey, speaking of good things that are going to happen, we got one more segment. I'm kind of sad, actually. That's a bad thing because I wanted to have about 20 more segments. We've had a good show today. 12:48 for now. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. We'll wrap it up. When we come back, stay with us. This is The Insiders.
The most complete Bison coverage in the region. Your Bison Nation station.
You are deep in thought, which is always dangerous.
Bison 1660.
Wimmer's Diamonds is all about love, family, and celebrating both. Hi, I'm Aaron Wimmer, inviting you to visit us at our beautiful new showroom. Let us help you find the perfect, exquisite reminder to celebrate your love for that special someone. Whether it's a lifelong love or a new commitment, for 103 years, Wimmer's Diamonds has believed in celebrating love. Wimmer's, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
Our Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. Bison Nation showed up in full force this past Saturday and helped create 5 first-half false starts by the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. However, second-ranked SDSU scored 16 unanswered points and held top-ranked North Dakota State to 5 first downs after halftime to claim a 23-21 conference victory at the Fargo Dome. Quarterback Cam Miller completed his first 13 passes and finished 17 for 22 for 227 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver DJ Hart had a career day with 4 catches and 59 yards. The Bison are 3-1 in conference play and 5-2 overall. The Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. They have a long history and reputation for quality workmanship and rock-solid pricing. Whether diamond engagement rings, custom jewelry, or repairs, let Brenda and the team at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry create a legacy for you and your family. The Bison have a week off before hosting Illinois State on October 29th.
Talking about your farm finances shouldn't be intimidating. This is Scott Zlondik with Cornerstone Bank. We're a locally owned and managed community bank. We know the ins and outs of ag banking, and more importantly, we know what it means to be there for our customers. Find the right person to talk to you about your finances, someone you feel comfortable with, someone you trust for the advice and direction you need. Come to Cornerstone Bank.
Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Need storage? Mega Storage USA is here for you. Whether you need storage for your boat, camper, motorcycle, or even a food truck, they have the perfect unit for you. Contractors need a safe place to store your trailers and equipment or even a semi? Mega Storage USA has you covered. Each unit comes with 24-hour access, an electrical outlet, and light, plus top-notch customer service and more. Located off I-94 on the 29th Street interchange behind RDO in Moorhead. See all that Mega Storage USA has to offer at megastoragefargomoorhead.com or call 218-461-8158.
On the Rocks Craft Cocktails bring natural, refreshing, bar-quality, balanced cocktails to the ready-to-drink category. Natural ingredients, no preservatives. Like the Mai Tai with Carusan Rum, the Margarita with Hornitos Tequila, an Old Fashioned with Knob Creek Bourbon, an Aviation with Larios Gin, or get spicy with a Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita with Tres Generaciones Tequila. Or maybe live it up with the Cosmopolitan with Effin' Vodka. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails. Hard to choose, easy to pour. Please drink responsibly.
This is NDSU head men's basketball coach Dave Richmond, and you're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU athletics, Bison 1660.
All right. Final segment.
Man, final segment of me hosting this week. I'm going to be a little bit sad. It's been fun, Kyle, having you in here this week. Thank you, man. I'll be honest, man. I'm still learning. I'm new here, still 2 months in. And Andy went on vacation, and I said, man, I'm going to be here and hold it down for you, Andy. But I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? And when I called you and you said, hey, man, I'd love to come in and join you for the week, I'm going to be honest, man. You have made my job a hell of a lot easier this week.
Well, yeah,
so I appreciate that, man.
No problem, man. I'm always here to help, and obviously I'd done this before with Andy and had a blast doing it, so I appreciate you asking me back. And anytime, man.
Yeah,
anytime.
we'll have to keep doing this, man. You've got such valuable insight to this program, playing here, playing in the pros, still being involved, broadcasting, and Kyle, I'll put you on a pedestal, but there's so many others too. There's so many of your teammates and so many that came way before you, and that's the commitment to this program that I see so much of is former players that are still engaged long after they play the game. I think it's incredible. You don't see that at a lot of programs, even FBS programs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that move here to play here that are from different states, obviously like myself, and then they decide to make Fargo home because they fall in love with the community and the city and the state as a whole. And obviously everyone that does that is going to still continue to follow NDSU football, to see that standard upheld. When I was playing, and it was talked about a ton, and we brought in former players and playing for the guy that came before you, because it truly is a family, and guys that played before, they still care. They obviously still care, and like you said, Rob, I know for a fact, because I have NFL teammates that they don't feel that same way about their alma mater. They're like, yeah, I had my time there, it was fun, I had a good time, but now I'm off to bigger and better things, and they just fall away and they don't care about it anymore. You just rarely see that with anyone that comes through this program.
A lot of success happening throughout not just football, but other sports as well. I want to remind you the Bison Bash that's taking place at Kingpins on October the 26th from 5 to 8 p.m. Open bowling, open laser tag, arcade. A lot going on there. You can find out more information about that event at gobison.com. Also, winter sports well underway. Didn't have a chance to talk a lot about this week, but men's basketball, women's basketball about to get started. You can get your season tickets online, very affordable, gobison.com. Also, how about wrestling getting underway? We've got a wrestler right there. Peyton, who is that on our wall over there? He's been there for a while.
That guy?
Yeah.
That's track.
That's track and field. That's Peyton.
Peyton track and field getting underway, and wrestling also. And wrestling, look, getting underway November the 4th. That's getting started. There's a lot going on at NDSU. NDSU volleyball doing great. Congratulations to them as they continue to just excel. NDSU soccer is underway. Several players, Abby Wilkinson naming Ticket Smarter Summit League Defensive Peak Performer of the Week recently. Bison men are ranked 14th in regional cross country in the poll there. Jake Aronson earning the Summit League Cross Country Peak Performer of the Week. You go back to women's cross country, climbing to number 10 in regional rankings, and then men's golf also underway. So there is a lot happening across the university, and I'll make it a commitment when I'm on this show, as much as I can, along with Andy, that we highlight these other sports as well, because there are so many great student athletes out there, and we want to make sure that they get that due recognition that they deserve. We just got so much going on right now with football and other things that sometimes it's hard to fit that in, but we are going to make a commitment to fit that in as much as possible, because those kiddos matter just as much as the young men on the football team. Well, Men's Hair Co. is the only place for haircuts, waxing, shaves, beard care, and more. You can find a location near you with 5 Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo locations to choose from. Go with the home team for your haircuts this football season. Men's Hair Company, online at menshairco.com. Very, very briefly, off the wall, said we'd get to it, didn't have a chance, want to throw it in here at the end. Just internet's so silly. That's the only word to describe it. Silly. Got a guy out there named, Bend Over Insider. Okay? Bend Over Insider, something ridiculous name, all right? And don't ignore the guy's tweets, because he has the inside scoop on nothing. But he put out a tweet talking about Odell Beckham Jr., that he's coming to the Vikings pending a physical, and the thing blew up like wildfire. Of course, it's just a joke.
Don't believe everything you see on the internet, folks.
What's the
example
likelihood?
Number one.
What's the likelihood of him coming to the Vikings? I would say next to nothing.
I actually think he's one of the options. He's let's think about it. He wants to go to a winning team. That's one. Vikings are a winning team right now. 2, he has a relationship with
their OC.
O'Connell. with Vikings head coach. 3, he has a relationship with Justin Jefferson. They went to the same school at LSU. They've hung out together outside of just football. Obviously, they didn't play together, but that's 3. 4, the Vikings need a receiver. I know it might not be a popular opinion, but Adam Thielen, he's kind of declining a bit, and that's where I'll end on that tangent.
All right, well, fire up the goodbye music. We got a minute to go here, Micah Bendy. Thank you for filling on that. We'll see what happens. There's nothing going to be put on the board.
I'm going to say no. I don't think he ends up there.
I don't think so.
I'm going to say no. I'm not saying it would be a terrible move, but I'm just going to say if I had to bet, I don't think he lands in Minnesota.
I think maybe Kansas City. I
think Buffalo was another one.
Buffalo would be good.
We're talking about.
A lot coming up this weekend. NFL, Falcons, Bengals, Lions at the Cowboys. That's going to be a good matchup. Not really. Colts at the Titans. Dak will be back. Packers at the Commanders, Buccaneers, Panthers, Giants, Jaguars, Browns, Ravens, Jets, Broncos, Texans, Raiders, Seahawks at the Chargers, Cardinals, or Chiefs at 49ers, and Steelers at the Dolphins. And then you go over to Monday Night Football, little Bears and Patriots action. That's what's happening in the NFL. MLB action continues. NBA action just underway. Many teams now getting another third game tonight. Kyle, again, been a fun week. Thanks for being on, man. Any final remark you want to say before we go?
My final remark was going to be, are the Broncos in prime time again this week? Because if they are, I swear I'm boycotting the NFL for the weekend. Right. Are they? I don't know, but they probably will be again soon.
Yeah, no, I think, are they on a bye this week? I don't know. I didn't look. No, they're not. Jets at the Broncos, 3:05 on CBS. That'll wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us. It's been a fun week. Micah Bendy, great work this week. We're going to step aside. We're done. We're out of here. The Insiders back next Monday. Stay with us. Enjoy your bye week. And remember, horns up and go Bison.
If you're looking for a towing company that has graduated to the next level, you're looking for All Pro Towing. All Pro Towing specializes in heavy-duty and light-duty recovery. All Pro Towing is there for lockouts and jump starts and tire changes. Plus, they're available 24/7 for all emergencies. So when you're looking for a real pro, you need All Pro Towing. Save their number for when you need a tow. 701-541-3900.
This guy had more issues with his eyes. The minute he first came out of surgery, he walked in with a huge grin on his face, and for the first time since he was a little kid, he could see perfect.
Going to Vance Thompson Vision was an easy experience. If you're going to trust your eyes to anybody, trust them to a leader in that field.
When it came time for me to make a decision about where we were going to go for my LASIK surgery, there was no question that it would be Vance Thompson Vision.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
Sugar beet season is in full swing. Are you having issues with your bed liner while hauling? Contact Horn Plastics today. Horn Plastics has industry-leading bed liners that will guarantee you get every dime out of your haul. With a superior slide bed liner, you'll not only prolong the life of your equipment, you'll increase the amount of material in each load, increase the number of loads per day, which in turn makes you more money. Call today for a free estimate or to get your install scheduled. Online at hornplastics.com. That's hornplastics.com.
This is Menli from Healing with Hyperbarics, and I want to talk to you today about how hyperbaric oxygen can help you if you've had radiation in the past. Radiation saves lives by killing cancer cells, but the damaging effects of radiation to the tissues continues. This leads to poor blood flow in these tissues, causing a range of problems, depending on which tissues are radiated. If you've had radiation in the past and struggle with any post-radiation injuries, book an appointment with us at Healing with Hyperbarics to see how hyperbaric oxygen can help you heal.
Hear from the head coach every Monday night. NDSU football head coach Matt N stops by with us on the Bison Football Radio Show every Monday night starting at 6:30.
Defensively, we play a lot of people. That includes D-line, that includes in the back end.